George Kilpatrick, Inspiration for the Nation. We're pleased to be joined by Karin Franklin. She is a member of the board of the Paul Robeson Performing Arts Company, and they, along with many other organizations, including yours truly, are the recipients of the Central New York Community Foundation's Black Equity and Excellence Grant. And Karin, so Karin Franklin, of course, is a community treasure. She does a whole lot of stuff, including a whole lot of stuff for the Paul Robeson Performing. Well, she does a whole lot of stuff for the Paul Robeson Performing Arts Company, including acting, but also got her hands in the mix, coordinating, facilitating, you name it, she does it. So Karin, first of all, good to see you as always, and good to hear you as always. What do you got going on with the Paul Robeson Performing Arts Company, and how are you using the grant that you received? And what are you using it for? Yeah.
Well, for folks that don't know about the Paul Robeson Performing Arts Company, we are approaching our 40th anniversary.
Wow.
And the organization was formed because there was a lack of opportunities for African Americans, especially on the stage. There were students that were protesting that we don't get to tell our stories through our own lens. We don't have the opportunity to do those plays and such. They're not even put on the docket. So in the Paul Robeson Performing Arts Company's early years, did shows like The Wiz, did a Motown Review, did the Soldier's Play. Many people know it as a Soldier's Story. Day of Absence, which is what this world would look like if we weren't here.
The Colored Museum.
Colored Museum, God's Trombones, and I could go on and on and on. But if you're a Black performer, those are the shows that help you to shine. It helps you to express yourself in a real way, instead of having white authors put the words in your mouth. You have Black authors, Black entertainers sharing that experience, and we all grow from that, not just Black entertainers. So that's what the company was born out of. And Paul Robeson himself was born to Black slaves. He was a Phi Beta Kappa. He graduated from Columbia University with a law degree. He was an All-American football player, class valedictorian, and on and on and on. For example, he worked for a law department, and the white secretary would not take any dictation or notes. He was put virtually in a closet as an office. So he left the law practice and used his voice, literally and figuratively, because a great orator, great basso concert singer, and a great actor. So the company was named after him because of that, and because he spoke up for the marginalized. In the 1940s, in the McCarthy era, he was banned a communist, his passport was taken away, and on and on. I won't go any more about it, look him up.
No, but I think it's important that you give that history, the whole history of blacklisting, McCarthyism, back in the 1950s, Senator Eugene McCarthy with this committee at the House, and they basically labeled anybody and he was essentially blacklisted after that. I guess that's the word that they use, but
no
yeah.
Everybody offended, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But it's very good to tell people that the co-founder of Paul Robeson Company is Bill Rowland and Roy DeLamos, and a lot of people thought Bill was Paul Rowland of Robeson. So, but Paul Robeson is the name of the company. The Black Equity and Excellence grant was a godsend for us, because what we call this grant our opportunity to preserve and grow. We, as a company, for the past decade, the board has run the organization and put on those performances and productions and such, because we didn't have an executive artistic director. So the board was always doing that. We found now with this grant, we had an opportunity to, in a way, level the playing field. The excellence is in Syracuse. We have excellent performers and entertainers and writers and technicians, but the equality part was not having the funds. We were overshadowed by all of those big named organizations. And this is a Black, I've dubbed this the Black theater desert.
Mm-hmm.
Um, People, when our folks come into town and want to know where the entertainment is and what's going on in Robeson, the Paul Robeson Company heyday, they would look to Bill and the company, what shows are going on right now, and they gravitate to them. We did not have the resources to keep up that kind of presence, and the shows that we did were primarily uh, staged readings,
Mm-hmm.
or we joined forces, which is always great, with partnerships with other organizations like the Syracuse Community Choir, 100 Black Men of Syracuse, and other groups to put on small plays, but nothing as grandiose as we used to do. So this grant, to call it Preserve and Grow, is to preserve the company and what it stands for and what it's still trying to do and still trying to be a voice. And the
Yeah,
growth part is to give us the resources to build.
many as so many arts organizations, and let's start at Broadway, right? I mean, Broadway's just getting back going
Mhm.
September. So they've been gone for a year, over a year and a half, right? And so, like Broadway and Syracuse Stage and Red House and Paul Robeson, coming out of COVID, arts organizations were pretty much devastated. So I know that it's pretty significant to be able to preserve and grow so that you could have a season, that you could have an opportunity to continue to tell our stories and give local artists, particularly telling our stories, an opportunity to shine.
And another part of that, George, is when you're a small company, you rely on the volunteers, you rely on people just doing the work because they love it. It's nice to have the money to say, we appreciate you, we recognize your
Mm-hmm.
talents and your professionalism, and we want to compensate you. So now
Mm-hmm.
we're able to say, okay, can you, for instance, the gentleman who's been doing our website has been doing it gratis. We've been able to pay him to revamp our website. First time we've been able to do that. And whatever we said, well, we'll do a fundraiser, we'll help you. He says, no, I believe in what the company does and I'll keep doing it. But this time we've been able to give, that's just an example of what those resources from the CNY um, Foundation has been able to allow us to pay someone. And the same with actors and others.
So, where does the company house itself now?
We house ourselves on Zoom.
Okay. Okay.
and when and when we didn't house ourselves on Zoom, we met at a library. We
Okay.
no longer had the resources to maintain a facility.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on what the production was, we would rent a facility. We'd go to
Mm-hmm.
the Black Box Theater, or most recent one we did was at the Red House, using their facility. We've gone to churches. God's Trombones was done at uh, Bethany Baptist Church. We did a tribute to Paul Robeson that was done at Del Grove Missionary Church. So depending on the size of the venue that we need and what we're able to work out funds wise, that's where that's where the company is hired.
Yeah, I know you were with CFAC for a while, for a long time, right?
We were at that facility that was the Paul Robeson Performing Arts Company facility,
Yeah.
and when we left the university, we parted ways with the university, and then that's when the board took over. This was in 2010, and
Right.
then for no overhead and just
Mm-hmm.
keeping the company going and meeting where we could, meeting in homes, meeting in various places. But and all of the board members had file cabinets with robes and stuff. So all of those things that you had in the office, we all house as board members. And not having a facility, as I said, reduced the overhead, and we looked for a facility, a venue, what we call it, when we had a production to launch.
When you looking forward, and you talked about the importance of this grant to preserve and grow, what's next for PRPAC?
We did a stream production of a play called Still Move Paradise,
Mm-hmm.
and had a wonderful videographer, Ellen Blaylock, to talk about a community
What,
treasure.
what was the name of the screening again?
Still Move Paradise.
Okay, Kill Booth
And
Paradise. Okay.
what it was three men and one teenager found themselves in a kind of holding area, a kind of
Mm-hmm.
And as the play progressed, we found out they were all there. The commonality was that they were all shot by police.
Wow.
The young man was in the playground with friends and shot. Somebody was he was with his girlfriend in the car and he was something in the glove compartment and shot. And they were telling their story. Where were you when that happened? Where were you? What are you doing here? Those kinds of things. There's also a portion in that play where they read the names of those victims. So that was our most recent, and that was screened. We're looking now at doing a play called "Comb Your Hair" or "The
Okay.
Slave,"
Okay.
and it's a series of vignettes, it's mini monologues, and the best way to characterize it is Black women's hair versus American society.
Mm,
People feel as though they have a right to just put their hands
mm,
in their hair.
mm,
Oh, look at
mm.
those braids. Oh, look at that fro. Those, or you lose your job because all of a sudden you come in with different kinds of locks or
Right,
hairstyles.
right.
Kids can't graduate because they've got different hairstyles. I'm not saying that's here in Syracuse. That's what we call American society. But that's what the play talks about. It's written by a woman named Ruby Jackson. Sunita Sarat, who is fabulous. She's a
We love
seasoned
Sunita.
university graduate, MFA in theater. She she's a classically trained vocalist, a playwright, an actor, a director, she's an artist in residence.
You know, I did a play with her.
Pardon?
I did a play with her.
What did you do with her?
I did a play with her in 19, I'm going to take you back, take us both, 1991.
You were 15.
Oh, yeah, about 15 years old. And it was Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Ah,
And Sunita she played I can't think of it. But anyway, Ma Rainey, she played the interest of Ma Rainey, basically.
yeah. Fabulous, she's absolutely fabulous. So we were able to woo her into Syracuse to work on this production. And we're wrestling with doing it in an outdoor environment so people are comfortable, but we know what the outdoors is like.
Lean in, Karin, so I can hear you better. Yeah.
We're wrestling with how to present it. We're looking at an outdoor venue so that people can get away from looking on the screen and be outdoors. So we're looking at that. We're looking at videotaping it and streaming it just to give people a hint of the play. Or to do that and then to do it live once we can get back into a theater and people feel more comfortable post-COVID. So it's called Comb Your Hair or You Look Like a Slave, and that's our next production. And when you'll see it or hear it or experiencing it, that's what we're playing around with. But Sunita is definitely on board with that.
We're so glad that the Paul Robeson Performing Arts Company is celebrating 40 years in the Q's, and that the Central New York Community Foundation has helped you preserve and to grow as part of their Black Excellence and Equity grant. Karin, anything else we need to know before we go?
Just want our grantors to know how very grateful we are. This community is rich in its talent and its abilities, and thankfully they are recognizing through this grant that we just need to be lifted up. We need to be recognized, and we're seeing more and more of that. So that's the only thing I want to add is thank you. And to let people know if you want to volunteer with us, if you want to join the board, we're at info@theprpac.org or theprpac.org on the website.
The prpac.org or info@theprpac.org.
If you want to email us. Or
email us.
Yep. And George, you are a treasure also. Thank you for doing this and giving us an opportunity to say thank you to the Central New York Community Foundation. Thank you for your inspiration. And maybe we get Sunita on with you before she leaves.
We love, tell Sunita she better make that happen. I ain't playing.
Okay.
Excited for Sunita, excited for you. Info at the prpac.org or the prpac.org on the web to find out more about the Paul Robeson Performing Arts Company, a community treasure, and Karin Franklin, of course, a community treasure, and I consider a treasured friend as well.
Same here. Back at you. Back at you.
Inspiration for the nation.